I'm Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at what do they want me to say or do by looking at the cards. So I thought this was a very fun idea where we are going to be kind of getting into the headspace and background of this other individual. So we are not only going to, because as you know with my readings, you might ask one question, but you're going to get a whole other bunch of questions answered and motivations and subtext and all that jazz. So we're definitely diving into understanding where are they at from that place. What do they want from you? What would that mean? If anything future related pops up in the card reading, we're going to be talking about that as well. And this is something I also was curious about. I know we're already going over this question, but I'd love to know if you guys would want any additional questions to this type of concept. Like if you feel like after the reading you have another question, kind of a follow-up. It could be off of this situation, but it could be just like a follow-up question just in general that's along these same type of lines. I would be happy to do one. Please put your suggestions in the comments below if you have any particular route you guys want me to go in. And yeah, thumb up the questions that you like the most so they pop up to the top so I know everybody is interested in those. And I'd be happy to do them and make the video on them. In addition to that, if you would like to support me, it is not only so appreciated, but you can do so by also following me on Patreon, where you can get exclusive content. And along with all of the meditations and the Reiki and coding and the Akashic record trips and the spiritual meanings of stuff and so on and so forth, I posted a new video over there where I am continuing my breaking down of the major arcana, which basically is a combination of us going over the meaning of the cards. We're talking about the star card this time, but did you know that the archetypes existed in the spirit realm long before the cards were ever created? And I essentially channel them. So I channel the star card. Funny enough, that's not actually their real name. But anyways, that's available there. And in addition to that, if you're interested, I've got my courses. Intuition training course, you go to the spirit realm, meet your spirit guides, learn how to apply all of that knowledge and interaction into your everyday life to benefit from it. Same concept with the tarot training course. Get right into tarot reading. It's simplified, but with a lot of backup information, understanding. It gets really complex. Like you can jump into it right away, but you get a lot to build off of it and see reading cards in a totally new, different way with all of my tips and tricks included. And third, my meditation course, because I would not be the tarot reader I am today, the channeler I am today, the spirit realm traveler I am today, if it isn't for my over 18 years of meditation practice. And I'll tell you this, it's not like any other meditation course you've experienced before. So I love that one as well. But let's get back to our group manifestation that we do right before we go into the group reading, because I know you guys love it as much as I do. I thought I'd go with a pretty simple one today. Simple but not underrated, which is we are all going to group manifest a pep in your step today. A little extra bolt of an uplifting mood. And so what you're going to do is you're going to repeat after me. What I'm going to say something, you're going to repeat after me. We're all going to sit in silence for like a minute or two while you hold on to that idea, and we're all, manifesting and putting our energy and thoughts into the same thing so it manifests better and faster for all of us. And then you have to give me permission now, but I'm going to send you Reiki for the same concept to also help with that process. So let's all take a moment and repeat after me. I am in an incredibly good mood today. I have a pep in my step. I find it easy to see and connect with things that continue my good mood. Okay. That one was a little bit difficult. It was interesting. The energy seemed like it was going into all of you. It kind of popped out of my hands, went right upwards, and then all of you were sort of branching off of the main beam of light, like coming out from the center of my hands. But a lot of you had extractions that I needed to take out of you, like some like darker stuff. And the interesting thing is I looked down, and around the beam of my hand, not coming from my hands, but like the sort of beginning point of all of it, also needed an extraction. And I was asking, I was working with like the Universal Life Force Energy and was asking them about it. And they said that basically you guys had like an issue with the idea of even receiving it, which is okay. We've all been there. So I'm really happy we got to move that extraction. So like the core idea of you receiving it was easier. And I'm really just excited for you and your upbeat mood and day, and just feeling a little like skip in your step. So also, please feel free to always leave any particular manifestations you guys want me to do. I'd be happy to do it. But now let's get back to our reading. We've got groups number 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to give you a moment to think of this other individual and the context of what do they want me to say or do, what do they want you to say or do, that type of concept. And I want you to hold that in your heart before you pick the cards that resonate with you. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. Perfect. Okay, so let's get started. And you can skip down to the description where you can go to your designated group or the Patreon or courses or whatever. And I will see you there. But let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's find out, what do they want you to say or do by looking at the cards. We've got King of Pentacles in reverse, 2 of Cups upright. Whoa, this has got a lot going on. The Tower card upright, the Knight of Swords upright, and wow, the Page of Pentacles upright. Okay, give me just a second to look at everything. This is a bit wild. I'll be with you in a moment. Okay, so I was just getting some extra little details about stuff. Okay, so first we start off with the Page of Pentacles, and you are sort of being represented by the pentacle, and the individual we are talking about is being represented by the figure. And just like the imagery we see on these cards, the way my spirit guide described it is that they're pining for you. It sounds like you're not together right now. Let me just double check with my spirit guide. Correct in most cases. Okay. So keep in mind, you might be the exception, and in that case, we're still going to go along with this reading. But there's this sense of thinking back on you, thinking of you very favorably, sort of holding you in their eye in a more flattering way, being like, oh, it was so nice back when I was with them type of mindset and idea. I do want to point out before I even get into the remaining amounts of the cards is that this is being represented by the Page. The Page tends to be, you know, I wouldn't always describe it this way, as you know, if you're familiar with my readings, but in this particular case, it can represent somebody who's a little immature, in the sense that they have, you know, good intentions, you know, they want something, they're in the process of learning, it's okay to learn and need to know stuff, but sometimes people want things and they aren't quite sure how to handle them or don't understand all the following ideas that surround the responsibility of something. And so, again, it's totally fine for them to want it, but they don't even know what they're asking of either an opportunity or someone else, and then the ramifications of what that would be for the other party, the other opportunity. And, when we try to make decisions in life, we try to be responsible for ourselves, everyone involved when it comes to those decisions. So that's just something to keep in mind right there, because that's definitely how I would describe this situation going on. Now, still focusing on this other person before we get to the main question at hand. This is really important. We have both represented them continuing on in the Knight of Swords upright and the Tower card. And with these cards in combination, my spirit guide described it as them making decisions and coming up really fast is this big, big life event. Now, I was asking more questions if you were aware of this big change in their life, and I was told some of you do, some of you don't. So this would be, whenever we have the Tower card, it's not always negative, but it is this idea of big, serious life change. Like your day-to-day life would be completely different. And understandably, for a lot of people, that's very jarring. And that's the main thing going on here in their mindset. And it's important that we understand their mindset, because what they want from you and how it will go, well, you're getting basically all the background motivation and whole picture, as you know how I love to do in my readings. So they are consciously aware they're moving towards this big life-changing event. And it's happening really quickly, and obviously they're having a hard time struggling with that idea that they're going to have to experience it. So this is then them reaching for the idea of comfort, which is you. This person they once were either with romantically, because I did ask if for some of you this potentially might not be romantic, and I was told yes, it is possible, but it's more heavily on the romantic side. Can it be friendship too? My spirit guide was like, any relationship, we're keeping this general. Hold on, let me ask. Primarily romantic though. Okay, so they are like, I knew what that was like. I'm thinking of all the best moments, and those sort of memories and time for them are frozen, if you will, as a sort of comfort. What's it called when you throw a life raft? What are they're called? Like lifesavers, I think they're called. Those, they're reaching out and being like, that's what I'm familiar with. Let me hold on to that, because it feels too jarring to think about what's coming up, and the speed at which it's coming up, it's not giving them enough time to sort of emotionally accept it and mentally digest it. Now, what they specifically want from you, hold on to what I'm going to say, because where it's going to lead, because we see a bit of a future thing popping up in this, is really important. So first, I was asking my spirit guide when they were talking about this further if they wanted you to reach out first, and I was told it actually doesn't matter either way. Like they either want to reach out to you if you made the first move if you made the move first to reach out to them, that would be fine too. There is this feeling of like wanting some form of bringing the two of you together. This other individual isn't really particularly picky about which side it comes from at all. The main thing that they want from you is that they want an equal returning of intention and energy and emotional focus the way they feel for you. They feel that they are ready to offer you maybe potentially what they couldn't offer you before. There feels like there's a lot of love and respect they want to give you. They want to show you that they're very devoted to the situation and putting their focus towards you and showing you that they're special. And they're hoping that you're open into receiving that and wanting to return that back, which is a very important aspect of it. They just want to know that you'll accept their intentions with open arms and that you will give those intentions back in equal force. Because remember, when we're talking about them pining for you and reaching out to you, they want that comfort of you hugging and showering them with love and attention back. They're thinking about that too. They want to give that to you, and they want to receive that comfort back as well. But the problem is, in another reading, this would be very sweet and very lovely, and I'd be like, oh, congratulations, like that's awesome. But we get a bit of a warning, if you will, in the future of where it goes in the King of Pentacles in reverse. The way it was described to me is there is this really contradictive energy and emotional reaction. They really, really want you, after the two of you come together again, they want you to sort of control their life and tell them what to do. They want to feel like a sense of guidance through what you might see and find easy as an outside source, if you will, like when somebody is not in the situation so closely, they're able to see the bigger picture more clearly. They want to also kind of relieve some of the the stress of even making decisions, and they want you to make decisions for them. But unfortunately, it's that's fine if somebody wants to live their life that way and the other person wants that as well, and they're like, and that works for them as a group, you know, because truly to each their own. But in this case, not only do they want that of you, which again, you have to ask yourself, is that something you're comfortable with? That feels like a lot of pressure to put on somebody. But their response is very contradictive. There's also a part of them that doesn't want to be controlled, that doesn't want to be told what to do. And so you get this conflicting back and forth of them putting this pressure onto you and saying, please tell me what you think I should do next. And there's you initially feeling like, yeah, I can give my 2 cents or opinions or advice. And then them being like, no, tell me what to do. And you're like, I don't know. I mean, that's for you to decide. And then even if you're like, fine, you should do this, they're like mad at you. You told me to do this. I feel like you're always telling me what to do. And you're like, telling you what to do? You're asking that of me. So it's just very much this energy that doesn't seem to get settled. It's almost like they're using what they knew and felt comfort in to the interaction between the two of you as a way of avoiding processing this. And it needs to be processed eventually. And because it is still conflicted here, the conflict gets brought forward into the potential future if the two of you get back together at this time period. We're not talking about a forever thing. You know, you can make decisions in the long run. What would you like to do then? But I would definitely only talk to them after they've had this big life-changing event and they've gotten settled into it. Otherwise, what is a very sweet idea of the two of you coming together gets basically ruined from a combination of it getting sour very quickly in an unfair position to you, but also even the idea of them wanting to be with you in this moment doesn't feel like, oh, I love you as a person and I want you to love me back. It's like, please, somebody hug me and tell me everything's going to be okay. I'll tell you you're great, but please give that back to me. I need that so desperately. And it's kind of a lot to put on another person, especially when it's an avoidance tactic they're using. So there you go. We're gonna, as you know, in these readings, we get very, we get real. And I hope this helps give some clarity and understanding to underlying conversations you potentially are having now or are about. I almost get this weird vibe like they're about to text you and you asking your friends and yourself like, well, what did they mean by this? What is their intention? Well, we now deeply understand their intention, where it's coming from. And I mean, the decision truly always is yours, but I would definitely suggest if you were interested in talking to them again, waiting until this big life-changing thing happens for them and they're settled in it. Then they're going to be thinking more clearly and you're getting more of a truthful response, you know what I mean? And more of a genuine potential of them being genuinely interested in you, not for the idea of you. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to know. And if you have any additional questions in general that you guys would like me to do with these type of videos, because as you can tell, there's just so, many more readings we could do off of this type of subject, please put those suggestions in the comments below. Write like a sentence and then everybody thumb that up so I can know. Love you guys so much. Please like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. All of that helps out like you would not believe. I look forward to seeing the next one. Let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out what do they want you to say or do by looking at the cards? We've got 3 of Wands in reverse, 8 of Swords in reverse, the Empress upright. Oh, 2 8 of Swords in reverse, very important. Got the Sun card in reverse, and the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, this is some vibes. Give me a second to look at everything and get the details, and I'll be with you in a second. Okay, so this is what I love about tarot. We look into the future of things, and when we look into the benefit of looking into the future is if we see something that we don't especially love, it's awesome to know about it now because we can either avoid it, change the circumstances, learn the lesson now so you don't have to experience the lesson at all. You can rewrite things. It's just a beautiful preview, and it makes things a lot easier. It's the same thing for when we see good things. We can foresee them or have our eye out for it a little clearer when we understand the signs around it, which that's actually a good idea for a reading. I'm going to remember that. So anyways, going forward with this, I'll be honest, this is a little bit brutal, but stick with me here. It's really important you hear this, and I'm really happy this did actually pop up for you in this reading because this is going to save you a lot of time. We're going to cover something in, 10, 15 minutes that will save you weeks, months of questioning, wondering. We're going to streamline this for you and basically make it so that you have your time saved and you spend it on something better. But let's get into it. So first we have the individual in question, not you, but the person we are wondering what they want you to do and say. Now we want to understand them first in order to understand the motivation of then why are they wanting X, Y, and Z from you. So here they are represented in the Sun card in reverse. My spirit guide described it as them having lost their way to from themselves. Like a major description I would say for them is that their lack of confidence. Like they're very confused about what they want to do next. Who are they? Nothing feels quite right type of motto. Well, not motto, but what the mindset they're in essentially. And sorry about that interruption. I thought something really loud was going to pick up on the mic. I don't think it is. We're all good. Let's keep going. So with this lack of confidence, they are definitely trying to reach out to outside sources to figure out essentially how to remedy it. But keep this in mind. I want to point this out. We've all been through a lack of confidence in life or struggling to find out who we are and feeling lost and stuff like that. And that's totally normal. And I think we can all empathize with that idea. But keep in mind this concept as we go forward. So what they essentially want from you is they really want to hear from you. They really want you to reach out to them. I could see them still wanting to reach out to you and then hope for a response, but I'm heavily getting this, it's more pointing towards, and I'm also simultaneously getting the energetic vibe that they want you to send them a little text like, hey, what are you doing? What have you been up to? I miss you. Whatever is going to show a sign of your interest. And that's a big thing. They not only want to hear from you, but they really want some clear indication that you've been thinking about them and that you're on their mind. Now, what's really important about this is we have their feelings extended into the 8 of Swords in reverse in both of these cards. Meaning, now this is something I'm just pointing this out for anybody who enjoys reading tarot for themselves, or if you have enjoyed my tarot training course, not all the time do repeating cards mean the same thing. They can mean like an evolution, or talk about something else from a different situation. But in this particular reading, they both refer to it. And the reason why I'm going to point that out is the imagery we're going to look on over here in a second. So keep that in mind. That's really important, because for it, I pulled all these cards and I didn't need to be told this twice. So for it being told twice, it really shows the importance of it. And it's like almost like the cards are sort of lovingly shouting at you, being like, pay attention to this. This is important. Listen to this. So their sort of lost identity is being extended upon in the Eight of Swords in reverse. They feel that if they surround themselves with the idea that they have a lot of options, it will somehow free them from this limitation they see themselves as. So it's like they see themselves as a limited person, not good enough, not a good enough options. They see their world in a limited way. And this idea that there could be a potential, you acting as that option, that they could potentially, return to you as a person, or start something with you, depending on who you are, because this is a general reading, that with that option being out there, suddenly it feels like the world's their oyster, and there's all these potential like scenarios or timelines they could go down, and that feels very exciting. And that's the theory they're holding in their head. Now keep that in mind, that I said that that's what they think they can get from that scenario. That doesn't mean that's what they actually receive. So there is actually someone monitoring them. I see in the Empress card upright. I was told, because I was like, do you mean like this? Do you mean like this? Asking my spirit guides different identities. And they said it's someone they're with, that they are currently romantically with them and they're together with them. And this is really interesting, this other person. They're described as very, very confident. It's interesting. They even know that if the two of you started talking together, they would be aware of it. And interestingly enough, unbothered. And I asked my spirit guide, are they unbothered because, maybe it's more of an open situation or something like that? And my spirit guide said, no, like they would, on some level, they do care, and they don't want, their person talking to anyone else. But I was told that they sort of just like know their worth so much that they essentially are just like, yeah, like I don't love that you're talking to this other person, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna like dislike myself because you dislike yourself, essentially. But notice how this gets repeated around them. Again, remember, they like the idea that if they're surrounded by options, they feel that it will solve the limited view they have of themselves. And as you can see, not only do they already have someone in their life regularly that is that, so they already have the idea of an option, and this is where the subtext of the idea of another option being there, as in they already have someone and there's another option and scenario there. But they want to surround themselves by confident, certain people. And here they are surrounded by the most confident individual, someone very secure with themselves, despite the way they're feeling about themselves. They're not taking it on. They're not, they're not bothered by it or anything like that, which, I mean, you shouldn't be. But the point is, and it still doesn't take away this limited view they have of themselves and the world and their options and everything like that. So it's like a theory they have for themselves that just keeps not working, but they keep reintroducing the idea into their world, and it keeps not working. Now, here's the important thing I want you to be aware of. Even if you reach out to them and there is an initial conversation, or they reach out to you and the two of you kind of exchange back and forths for a moment, I can see here in the Three of Wands in reverse that it's not going to go any further, especially because of this person. They ultimately are with them, and they're aware that they could find out about this back and forth between the two of you. Also, in general, I don't, it's weird. It's like, I don't get this feeling that this is the love of their life, or it's going to ultimately work out in the long term. I get that scenario, but they are aware that they don't want to kind of push this sort of experiment, if you will, too far to lose what they already have, because they are aware they have somewhat of a good thing. But the main thing I want you to take away from this, besides the fact that, it doesn't feel great to hear somebody essentially just wants to use you. That doesn't feel awesome. Keep in mind you're wonderful. You're potentially being reached out to because you're so great. So keep that in mind. But in all of these scenarios, whether it be contacting you or being with this other individual, they're all like these ideas. Like this person is disconnected from the identity and idea of themselves. So it's like they're disconnected from the identity and idea of actual true connection between another person, whether it be a person they're with now or a person they could be with. So that's not someone you can kind of like, you can have all of your, well, what about this and the idea of them this. They can't give back to you that because they can't even give that to themselves. So, like I said, it's a bit of a rough reading, but not entirely, because ultimately you can save yourself the grief of all of this and know that either if you have currently contacted them now and you're wondering, like, is there anything more to do? Nope, you did it. It's not going to continue talking. Why? You're not going to continue talking to them. We know why, for various reasons. We're not trying to put the blame on this other individual that they're with. They did nothing wrong. We're talking about all the factors playing out there. And for people who are in the right before situation where you're like, should I reach out to them? Don't reach out to them. If they reach out to you, ignore them as well. It's a waste of time, as we can see. And in all scenarios, understand that this is somebody dealing with their own life path, their own situation. That's for them to go through, and there's a certain level of understanding in that. But basically, you can feel reassured that it has nothing to do with you as an individual. Like, there's nothing personally you're doing wrong, or even, I guess you could say right, you're amazing and that's why they want to talk to you. But definitely it's not a personal thing, if that makes sense. So I hope this definitely saves you a lot of unnecessary overthinking or wondering what to do next, and you can just kind of move on to like greener pastures because they're elsewhere. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I've been saying this in the other reading too, but this is definitely the type of reading where I feel there is sort of an extensive that's not a word, extensive question. Like you can build off an adjacent question to this idea. And I would love to do that if you guys are interested. And if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear about in the comments. If you see anything in particular, please thumb it up so that I can know that that's an interest for you guys. And I'd love to extend off of this idea because it's kind of really fascinating beyond just the idea of what do they want you to say or do. You can build off of this so much. So I hope you enjoyed this. And I look forward to seeing the next one. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. It helps out like you would not believe. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's find out, what do they want you to say or do by looking at the cards? Okay, so we have the Death card in reverse, the 5 of Wands upright, the Queen of Pentacles upright, the Devil card upright, the Emperor in reverse, and the 4 of Cups upright. Okay. This is some vibes. Give me a second to look at everything, and I will be with you in one moment. Okay, so first we're going to start with them and where they're at. And spoilers, it's not good. First, we have them represented by the Devil card upright. They are really struggling with some really serious bad habits, the kind where they feel like they keep being allured by them and cannot pull away, and they just keep repeating it over and over and over again. These are the type of habits that are really negative for them personally to experience. And they just kind of can't get out of this sort of cycle they're in. And that's a big thing. I will say this, we always want to have the utmost empathy and compassion for people who are in this place. A really great way of viewing this card and people who are in this type of way is they have some form of like hole in their heart. And with it being, this hole in their heart, they are trying to fill it with something, and no matter what they, put in there, it just doesn't, fix the main core issue of why they have that in the first place. So that's a really difficult position to be in. But this is then what's causing what's going on over here and a little bit over here. So in the Emperor in reverse, my spirit guide described them as really struggling with being stiff. Like, it's almost like this tense feeling, like they're unmovable in some of their decisions. Not like, how do I say this? Not like they would disagree with you and hold on to their belief system really hard, but more so that they struggle to make the next decision that will free them of, put them on a new path type of thing. Like they just feel frozen in time a little bit. But it's also causing them to be quite tense. My spirit guide was also, speaking of tenseness, was talking about their control issues. Now, normally the Emperor in reverse talks about them controlling you, but in this particular case, it's them and their particular control issues, as we talked about over here. Like they don't have any right now, and they're feeling that, and it makes them feel even more out of control with how aware they are with their lack of ability to just sort of stop and say when, so to speak. So with all of that being said, it definitely makes them more snippy and like angry towards you if you were to try to interfere with this, so to speak, because it's sort of like a chain of events of each thing affecting the other. And the other place they're in, and this is really important because I feel like in the Four of Cups upright, it really gives us an idea of like their day-to-day life. They've just in general lost like kind of a passion for everything. Nothing is getting them pumped or excited, which only makes the bad habits more interesting to them. And it's hard for them to sort of find any motivation when there feels like there's none outside of this sort of cycle they're in. So it's not a good place at all. I really feel for them in that kind of way. But that being said, what is it that they want from you? So we can see that result in the Death card in reverse. They're really holding on to this past perspective between the two of you. Sorry about that interruption. There was some loud noises. Hopefully I've saved you from that. But going back on here, there's this pining of the past, and they really just kind of want you to recreate that, so to speak, with them, which is a lot to ask anyone. I do want to point out that the Death card in reverse is a negative thing of holding on to the past, because even if, let's say it's the idea of getting back to someone you were once with, you're still going to be a new person. It's going to be a little bit different than it was before. And you can't completely recreate what once was. So keep that in mind. That's very much where their mindset's at, because they're like, what was the last thing that did get me excited, that did feel certain, did feel like was a better time period. So it's very sweet that they are associating that with you, but it's a lot to ask somebody to essentially fulfill an idea that they have in their head when you're just meant to be who you are as an individual, and whoever you are day to day is allowed to grow and change and be something different and interact differently. So that's the main thing they want from you, because, and then this is where we get a little more detailed from it. In the Five of Wands in upright, it's really showing this back and forth, unclear mindset they're in. They're constantly feeling themselves drawn to one decision or idea, then feeling themselves pulled into another. And both are sort of not allowing themselves to develop into a clear path that they head down, because the other idea, like as soon as they start to head down another direction, the other path goes, yes, but what about this? What if you did this? And so they feel at a standstill. The stiffness we spoke about, feeling like they are out of control. Again, we talked about this already. These are all like, quadruple confirmations of the place they're in. But then this is how they see you, which is really sweet in the Queen of Pentacles. And this is something that honestly you should hold in your heart in this reading as something in your day-to-day life. Not just how they see you, but just like this is who you are, which is really beautiful. They see you as somebody who is very clearly defined. So the Queen of Pentacles definitely creates paths, and they see you as somebody who could create a path amongst this uncertainty for them. And you not only can make very clear paths, as in like you can choose it, but you can create it. And once it's, comes into fruition, you continue down it with certainty. The Queen is somebody who definitely emits like a beautiful glow about them, because you're like, wow, you literally are like the purest form of creation. If it's not here, you can make it happen and bring it out of thin air, which not only is just like a beautiful compliment, but it does talk about directly about skills, as in it's not only your natural being and who you are, but you're the person that's like, if they're stuck and they're like, I'm not sure what to do, I don't have a car, blah, blah, blah. You're like, solution. I'll make this, I'll create this, I'll call this person. And there's this feeling of momentum with you, a clear sense of certainty with making decisions that they just can't get past in their head at the moment. And there is this beautiful aura around you that they would hope kind of would help sort of solve the problems in their own life. So that is a beautiful compliment, but again, they're still wanting you to fit an idea that they're still operating from, and technically they're not. Technically, they're not even the past version of themselves they once were. So keep that in mind. But that's the main thing going on here. If you notice in this card reading, we talked about when the main question here is what to say or do. They want you to essentially be in their life and be in this person. But if you notice, there's not greater details here of should you contact them or what should you do next? Should you make a move? should you reciprocate it? I want you to notice that all of it was more focused on the idea of like where they're at, and really pointing out the subtext of like, even if they think this, even if they want this, it's not operating from a true line of, oh, you're the greatest, I'm still thinking about you, you're the one. It's like a band-aid to a bigger issue. I'm not saying they don't really care about you, and this couldn't be something that after they kind of have worked on this, you do get back together or something like that. I'm not saying that can't be the case, but the cards are really trying to make it clear to you that this, whatever you're hoping is there, this is where they're at, and this is what you would be walking into, and being aware that you might not get back, including your own maybe pining of the past. Both of you are not going to get back from the other what you were hoping for, essentially, because you're in different places at this exact moment with different sort of viewpoints and stuff like that. So this is definitely something that, we can have compassion for them. And, I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing in the world if you were to send them like, hey, I hope you're doing okay, like, text, or like, I'm wishing you the best or something like that. But definitely understand that this reading ended, it's because this is the beautiful thing about tarot. You can ask a question, but if other cards or answers come to the surface more strongly, it's like saying, you're asking this, but this is the answer you're looking for, type of thing. So keep all of this in mind. It's a bit of a serious one, but it's honestly filled with like honestly compliments about you, which is very nice. But it also gives a lot of understanding of like, look, this is where they're at. You can speculate, but here you go. So I'd really like to know what you think in the comments below. I've been putting this out there to the other groups, but This type of question really opens up doors for other like subtext questions and like branching off, like what do they say or do want me to say or do, but then that can lead to then like what are they thinking next, and so on and so forth. So I would love to know if you guys want any follow-up type of videos, and also if you have any questions in particular you want. I always look at the comments, and feel free to thumb up one that somebody says that everybody else likes. And I just love to know what you guys think. I really enjoyed this reading. Please feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing the next one. Goodbye.